Hey team, Andre from High Performance Academy here. Welcome along to another one of our webinars. Just wanted to cover off a little project that we've been working on with our Toyota FJ40 build. And if you aren't aware of that build, we've got a Toyota FJ40 classic truck that we are basically modernizing. It's got a 4.3 litre Toyota 3U ZFE engine swap. We've converted from leaf springs to coilovers, among other things. Now today I just wanted to focus on one of the aspects of this build, which is the braking system. And if we just jump across to my laptop screen, we've gone with a fairly extensive upgrade on the brakes on this truck. In factory form, they're drum brake, and they don't really do a great job of stopping the car, which obviously doesn't inspire too much confidence. And when the original 3B diesel engine probably produced about 25 horsepower, that wasn't such a big deal. But with the 3U ZFE, we're probably expecting maybe around about 300 horsepower. It's still not going to be a rocket ship. That's not what it's built for. It's not a race car. But it would be nice to be able to confidently and repeatedly stop the vehicle. So we have gone disc brake all around, and the calipers that we've got on the front here I actually managed to find on our local Trade Me sort of online buy sell swap etc website, and I actually made a bit of an error with these. There was really no scale in the pictures, and I assumed that these would be sort of the fairly common WRX / Mitsubishi EVO size, which would fit under a 17-inch wheel conventionally, which is what we've got on this truck. When they turned up, they're absolutely massive, and again, there's no real scale in this photo, so you can't probably appreciate this. I think they might have been off a 2021-2022 model year Range Rover Sport or something of that nature. I'm not quite sure, but they're absolutely massive, designed really around about a 20-inch wheel. So we have managed to shoehorn them under the 17, but not a lot of room to spare. On the rear, and I have actually covered these in a bit of detail in a previous webinar, but this is an Audi electric handbrake system with obviously the hydraulic brake. It's a slider caliper. We're not really doing a lot of work at the back, and that's the key components there. Obviously disc brake conversion all round, as I mentioned. On top of this though, we have gone with a MK60 ABS unit, which is the Teves unit, which is commonly found in a lot of BMW models. Now, this is going to be a little bit out of left field for me. We haven't done this before, but this MK60 unit is pretty commonly used as a standalone ABS unit. And the nice feature of this being standalone is that it doesn't need to be in the original car. Basically, you can hook this system up and retrofit it into basically any vehicle you want. They are quite commonly used in club day race cars, even at semi-professional level, because they are relatively cost effective. The MK60 system is also the one that was fitted to the E46 BMW M3 and the M3 CSL, and quite a common upgrade if you want a little bit more performance above and beyond the base MK60 unit is that you can actually, there are a few companies that will flash the CSL mapping into their ABS computer. So I haven't tested this firsthand. Obviously the FJ40, as I mentioned, is not designed as a race car, but we're testing this around, is this going to be a cost-effective option for potential club day race cars? If we're looking at the commercially available aftermarket standalone ABS systems from the likes of Bosch, we're sort of talking numbers in the 8,000 to 10,000 New Zealand dollar vicinity. So, you know, if you're building a $500,000 GT3 race car, have at it, makes a lot of sense. But if you're beating around in a $15,000 club car, it's very hard to justify basically the entire expense of your car on an ABS system. So just to cover off what is included here, so this shot that we've got here is of the brake master cylinder on the FJ40, and we've got normally there's a pressure switch on the underside of these for, I think it's for the brake light circuit. So this ABS unit requires a brake pressure input for the front and the rear circuit. So we've just managed to drill and tap the master cylinder to take those two sensors. These were included as part of the kit. On top of this here is the actual ABS computer and pump. So this needs to obviously be plumbed. We've got the front and rear circuits come straight from that master cylinder and go into the ABS unit, and then we've got 4 outputs that go obviously to the 4 corners of the car. Not really too easy to see on this angle, but this plastic connector here is for the connector kit for the unit. All of this stuff, if you want to make up your own wiring harness, it's all available, brand new, pretty cost effective as well. Now, obviously, we also need to include wheel speed sensors, and the BMW wheel speed sensors are unfortunately not going to work in our application because of the live axles that are fitted to the car. However, the BMW sensors are a reluctor sensor, variable reluctance sensor, or magnetic sensor, and I had already confirmed with the company that I purchased all of this gear from that basically any reluctor sensor was going to be compatible, so we should be okay there. Obviously, there's a lot of testing to go into this. One aspect is getting the wheel speed sensor signals, which wasn't that easy. So Brandon had just mocked up a test fitting part here. He designed this in Fusion 360 and then routed this out of MDF. Obviously, that's not going to be too suitable for final fitment, but it just allows us to actually test the fitment and make sure everything should work, get all our clearances right. So once we've done that, we'll be able to produce the final part in a ferrous material that will work with that reluctor sensor. Now, a few considerations here. It's not just a case of fit all of the parts together and send it out the door and it's going to be okay. Obviously, when we're dealing with something that is safety critical like the braking system, we want to have the confidence that the braking system is going to work as advertised. And before I went too far with this, I actually contacted here in New Zealand the Land Transport Safety Authority and the Low Vehicle Volume Technical Authority, just to get some advice on this and what we could do. And basically, we're in uncharted territory here in New Zealand. No one has so far tried to do this and get a car complied, registered, certified for use on the road. So basically, they've said, well, you know what you're doing, you've done the research, we haven't. So present us with a case study on what you're doing and then some testing to actually prove that it does work, and we'll then look into it. So a little bit to go, but we're pretty excited to test that out. And as I say, if this does work as we expect, then it does open the doors for a very cost-effective unit for club level racing. I think off the top of my head, the total parts cost for all of this was around about the $1,000 mark, and if you want to spend some time in a wrecking yard, you can probably get it for literally cents on the dollar. So it does look to be a very, very cost-effective solution. Now, other sensors that go into this, there is also a yaw sensor that needs to be mounted. I haven't got a photo of that. There is also a output from that ABS unit, which is quite handy, that gives the 4 wheel speeds as a digital signal. So what we can then do is encompass that, bring that data into the ECU for things like traction control strategies or launch control. Again, obviously not launch control in an FJ40, but you get the idea. It gives you that data, so you don't need to double up on sensors. Another consideration that's going to come into this is with the sizing the master cylinder. That's really critical here. This affects the overall brake bias. Now, ABS will, of course, stop your brakes from locking, but it's not a silver bullet to fix a poorly sized brake system. So we still want the brake master cylinder sizing to be at least in the ballpark, so that our brake bias mechanically is set there or thereabouts, and then the ABS unit can come in and pick up the pieces if something isn't quite right. So again, we're a little way off testing this, but pretty excited to see how it works out. And of course, keep watching and we'll keep telling you how it works out once we get it onto the road.
If you like that video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you're not already a subscriber, make sure you're subscribed. We release a new video every week. And if you like free stuff, we've got a great deal for you. Click the link in the description to claim your free spot to our next live lesson.